Hey, Lord of the Rings fans, man. It's your boy, Knew Better, Do Better, back in full effect, man. I'm back. I'm from San Diego Comic-Con a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago. I don't even know at this point. The world is in a blur, but I am back. I'm here with KaliCosplay, my wonderful co-host, and welcome to Voices of Arda, our beautiful podcast. It is good to see you, Kali. What's going on?
Hi everyone. I am even happier than the rest of you are to hear New Better Do Better delivering our opening line for this episode. It is nice to have you with us. We have another interview for you today with one of our newer members of the Voices of Arda. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dave, aka Cinemallennials. Thank you guys so much for having me on Voices of Arda. It really means a lot. I always admire your guys' great work, bringing in a lot of Tolkien fans, no matter who they are, and bringing just everybody, whether they're new or they're Lamagnomor, one of the lore masters itself. So, yeah, just glad to be here.
Yeah, but it's an understatement, man. That dude knows a ton. It's crazy. So it is good to have you on, man. How have you been?
Good, good. There's a lot of stuff going on. My wife is having a baby, so we're looking forward to
Congratulations.
that. Thank you, thank
Yay!
you, thank you. So there's that. I'm doing a lot of Tolkien related projects recently, both academic and content related stuff like that. So there's been a lot of stuff going on, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that is one of the things that we are so excited to talk to you about are the things that you've been bringing to the table as of late, and the academic side of the Lord of the Rings, where some of us just lore drop and we talk about the movies, we talk about the books, so on and so forth. You are in the academia side of things, so tell us a little more about your projects that you got coming up.
So right now I'm currently working on a paper on the Celtic influences, more specifically the insular influences on Tolkien's Legendarium. So for those of you who don't know, insular was a very specific type of script that Irish monks developed in the 7th century. And if you don't know, like the Book of Kells, the Book of Iona, the Lindisfarne Gospels, things like that. I believe that Tolkien was highly influenced by those manuscripts and eventually used those manuscripts as his inspiration for his Tengwar texts. So that's another thing I'm working on that won't be out for a while. But I'm also working on a lot of things with David Donaldo.
The
We do,
Daves.
yes, exactly. Dave Square, the two Daves. We're doing
Yay!
this project essentially called The History of the Children of Iluvatar and Their Sources. So we look at the Lamanolmor, the lore masters of the first age. So we called it Arda Atenenta Luminare Hini Iluvataro Aire Kalumar. So essentially, that's the translation of the history of the children of Iluvatar and their sources. So that's another project I'm working on, but all in all, it's just a lot of really fun stuff, really getting into the context of who Tolkien was, not only just through his Norse or his Anglo-Saxon or Old English, as some people want to call it, influences, but his Irish, his Scottish, and his Welsh ones as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I know Welsh was a big influence on the Elven language, so on and so forth. And then, to have you and Dave the Noldo working together, that is quite the treat. And you guys, you're going to be hearing a lot of Quenya when you are, being involved with these two. So, keep your ears peeled and get your knowledge up, because you're dealing with like scholarly gentlemen here. So, big shout out to you. Can I ask a question?
Thank you.
Because my background is, gondolin, and Cali has our logo. There
Mhm.
you go. And yours is, I'm assuming, the Army of Gondor.
So,
Uh,
You've
yeah, so
got a
that's
tree back
that's
there.
Faramir,
Faramir.
riding out to meet the Nazgul and trying to rescue all those other soldiers.
Oh.
This is a work by Jay Johnston, who
Hmm.
is one of my all-time favorite, and I think he is my favorite Tolkien illustrator,
Hmm.
because he marries the illuminated manuscript culture that came out of the medieval period.
Hmm.
Um,
I was about
I
to say
said,
that's very medieval looking.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
look at
yeah,
the
yeah,
little
yeah.
faces, the little
He does
helmets.
amazing work. He does triptychs. He does like a lot of really great works based on medieval and Renaissance paintings, as well as the illuminated manuscript kind of stuff that you're seeing behind me. And he actually um, and he was part of one of the inspirations as to why I wanted to look even deeper into the insular influence into Tolkien's Legendarium, especially when you have the Book of Westmarch, with
Yeah,
it being based in two Welsh medieval manuscripts that form the Welsh national folk tales, the Mabinogion or the Mabinogi.
yeah.
So essentially, it just perfectly encapsulates what I think the Book of Westmarch would look like, and so I think Tolkien would have said as well.
Absolutely. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I was literally going to ask you what sparked your, love for diving into the specific area of the Nordic and the Welsh and the Irish
Yeah,
influencing of Tolkien's thing. Like why that specific area? What sparked that interest for you?
so I've always loved medieval things. As a kid, I had a playwright when I was at a play school, like our Fisher Price Castle. I don't know if you guys ever had those. Remember those? Those are great. So
We're
much
going
fun.
all the way back there, Dave.
Oh yeah, I
Woo!
know. I'm aging myself there. I'm aging myself. But so I had that, and then so my family is Irish, Scottish, and Welsh.
Gotcha.
So I was always like really into those kind of cultures, and not many people know about. Everybody knows about the Irish stuff, everybody knows about the Scottish stuff, but not really people don't really identify in America at least with a lot of Welsh things because the Welsh are like assimilated really well in
Mhm.
a lot of ways. So that's why I want to kind of put a highlight to those things. And then again, not many people know about the Irish, Scottish, or Welsh, the Celtic connections to Tolkien's Legendarium
Yeah.
because he didn't have the best words for a lot of those peoples in some ways, for at least for the Irish mostly. But there are still influences there, and I think more people should know about them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just want everybody to know that I am 2% Scottish.
Hey.
I took my ancestry, and what I'm saying, I'm 96% African descent and 2% Scottish, 1% English, and then 1% Iberian Peninsula, which
Oh,
is
interesting.
Spain
Cool.
or some shit like that. But absolutely, what I'm saying, I'm trying to get in touch with my Scottish
You're
roots. You know
2%
what I'm saying?
Scottish.
Well,
I'm
listen,
dead ass. I'm 2% Scottish.
it's unfortunately that might be a part of colonialism, but
Yeah, no, I
I
know.
think, but I mean that's the negative side of it. But no, it's cool. I mean, listen, there is always room for everybody in these types of cultures. That's the thing with like Celtic slash, and more specifically like Irish slash Scottish, which comes from this Gaelic culture. It's really about the language. If you represent the language and the culture, that's what you're considered as. You're Irish or Scottish. So
Gotcha.
there's more than, well, there's always welcome. People are always welcome.
All right. Well, on the Scott side of things, who's your favorite hero of the Scots? William
Oh,
Wallace. What I'm saying, Robert the Bruce.
that's a great poll. So Robert the Bruce is actually technically the Braveheart in that
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was the movie Braveheart. Super inaccurate.
Yeah, of course.
One of
Yes.
the worst things, but it's based off of another one of these kind of stories that Tolkien was kind of being influenced by these pseudo histories of the medieval period,
Hmm.
and which is what David and I kind of get into within the project that we're doing, and how we're looking at the different perspectives and why would this person have this perspective? What upper echelon kind of person would they be? Like what is their socioeconomic kind of thing? What is their motivation behind it? But yeah, no, so yeah, definitely Robert the Bruce. Robert the Bruce is the more significant for sure because he actually, pushed for the Declaration of Arbroath, which was a proto Declaration of Independence, but for Scotland. So a lot of the founders of America were influenced by that. And then
Hmm.
you have James Douglas, who was a fierce warrior as well. So those are two great Scots in the War of Independence.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I know Callie has some great questions for you. She's been a little quiet up there, but that's not typical of her. So, Callie, take it away.
Okay, so before I go into actual questions that other people want to hear and have answered, how does the Claymore stack up in size to Anduril?
Oh, well, that's interesting. They're both two-handed swords from what I imagine. So they're both, long swords. The claymore, the clave, is definitely a powerful sword. It can give you a lot of space. It'll give you a lot of room. And that's always good when you're sword fighting, that's for sure. But Anduril, I mean, or Narsil, both of those, they're unlike any other swords that's ever been created. They're close to Cetheldwch or Excalibur in
Hmm.
English,
Mm.
Ketelvolk, I think what it, yeah. So it's uh, it's up there. I'd say it's got to beat the Claymore. It's got to beat it.
Gotta beat
That-
it.
That's
That is
awesome.
awesome.
Before we get too far, and before anyone gets confused between David DeNoldo, who has his own episode, so you should listen to that. It's a few interviews ago. Dave, can you spell
Yes.
your social media handles for us, please?
Absolutely. So everywhere, I'm Cinemallennials, Cinemallennials. I know it's
Mouthful.
long. I know it's long, but originally I was doing a lot of stuff with a podcast called Cinemallennials, where it was myself and a younger person or a millennial person tried to get into. We watch a film from 1890 to 1969 for the very first time. And I did this over lockdown. I might want to revive it again, but that's where Cinemillennials comes from.
Nice.
I see.
That is awesome.
It does like once you get used to how to pronounce it, it does roll off the tongue very, very nicely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And what would you say? I know we've talked a lot about the academic side and some of those other projects, but what would you say your profile, your account, your Tolkien stuff is about?
Yeah, so a lot of it is just, like I said before, it's about trying to get into the historical and language influences, more
Like,
specifically, as I said before, the Celtic influence on there, as well as medieval influence in other cultures and like material culture and things like that. I talk about arms and armor sometimes. It's also finding the Middle Earth in our own Earth. I do a lot of these "Where am I in Middle Earth"
oh
kind of
yeah, you
videos,
do.
or I do a lot of these types of where I like go out in the world and I find a beautiful place or just a simply like elegant place, and just have 30 seconds of a clip and put that out there. I cover the Rings of Power with underscore medieval art, aka Brian Keene, Dr. Brian Keene, who is a art historian, and essentially what my role in our show is covering the lore aspect. So it's Tolkien's Rings and medieval legendarium. But
Hmm.
what they do, along with other art historians, they look at the influences, the artistic influences behind the cinematography, behind the costumes, behind the writing, anything like that. So it's a really cool experience to, marry those things together and see where the Rings of Power producers, costumers, actors, set dressers, set designers, where they get their ideas from. And other than that, it's just I cover film, I cover TV, things like that. Just all of my passions all on one page.
That is awesome. Now, speaking of your love of the armor and things akin to that in the Lord of the Rings, um, no matter what age, what armor description do you like the best? Whether it be Fingolfin's armor, where they talk about, his shield is overlaid with crystals, and then it talks about the guard at Baragond and what they wore at the guard of the Citadel, so on and so forth. Prince Imrahil,
Yeah.
all of the descriptions of the armor, even Morgoth's armor, what armor the Gondolindrum, how when the Gondolindrum are described, they're just described as strong
Oh
and
yeah. Oh yeah.
clad in
No.
mail and
Honestly, I love Tolkien's descriptions of his arms and armor. I find it so fascinating the different interpretations people have of the arms and armor because from my perspective, knowing so like having these kind of experience with guys that I follow and I share once in a while in my story, these guys that are doing traditional arms and armor work, they're creating these types of mail coats, hauberks, burnies, whatever you want to call them. I think what Tolkien and my favorite kind of descriptions are the ones that involve mail and a surcoat. And I think
Mhm,
that's the thing that really works well and it captures my imagination. But I
mhm.
think and is more accurate to, the time periods that Tolkien is basing a lot of his legendarium around.
Yeah.
So you have beautiful like plate helms, like the Anglo-Saxon Old English kind of helms that you can find in Sutton Hoo. But my favorite in the Legendarium as a whole is Tuor's description of armor. And one of the first, I think it's the first draft or the last draft of the Fall of Gondolin. That's by far and away one of my favorites because you have this kind of really cool progression. So you have the plate armor in Gondolin,
Hmm.
and then you go down, like as in the Long Defeat, as things keep getting worse and worse, you get less complicated armor. You don't get the plate as much as you would. You get, like I said, surcoats and mail. So yeah,
Absolutely. Tour beast mode, the wings, uh, the house of the wing, and I literally I love his armor as well. And then I love how it gets passed down.
yeah,
Eärendil, so on and so forth. Uh, his sons, and then we end up with a semblance kind of it in even in Gondor with the wings and even Imrahil and the swans and just the bird aesthetic. It's really dope. I
yeah.
really like it.
It's great when you have these lineages, how things are being passed from son to son
Yeah,
in a lot of these great ways and generation to generation. I really love that aspect as well. And you definitely have that with a lot of the armors and both arms and armor in
yeah.
the Legendarium. I think it's really great. But yeah,
I really love that. So like you were saying, like the as far as lineage wise goes to anybody who's listening who may not know, Tuor is the father of Eärendil. Eärendil is the father of Elrond and Elros. Elros becomes the first king of Numenor, so on and so forth. We can kind of see, the Numenorians go all the way down till we get to Elendil, and then Elendil comes over and his children found Gondor and look what we have here. So I think it's really cool.
and the one thing I do want to go back to really quickly is the armor descriptions in the Fall of Gondolin. That first where they all have different arms and armor for different houses, and it's
Yeah,
so amazingly like described. Like Tolkien knew what he was doing for the armor geeks out there, that's for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I really love it. One of my biggest is the family the house crests. Literally, I love that each of them have their own description and their own strengths. I really love how they differentiate the houses and
Yeah,
their leaders. And Rog is not like Algon. He's not the same as Glorfindel, and Glorfindel isn't the same as Ecthelion. We have the gold and silver aesthetic, and the last two, the two gates before the last, like it's really
yeah.
cool. Like it's awesome, man. And then the House of the Mole and that whole aesthetic of the last gate. And he also throws in the attribute of the leader of the house with what they've done. So,
Yeah.
we have Ecthelion being this exceptional fighter beyond reproach. He is the warden of the Great Gate. But
Yeah.
then we have, even though he's an asshole, we have Maeglin making the last gate because he sought for those metals that would strengthen the arms of the Gondolindrum and all those things represented in their sigils on their house. I love it.
And speaking of heraldry, I actually was inspired by Tolkien and just medieval world in general, and I actually designed my own. It's gonna be hard to see through here for my wedding band. So
Nice.
we did that,
Oh.
we did a whole family thing, and you can actually find the crest and stuff on, that's my image for my profiles now on Cinemallennials.
That is awesome, man. I got to design one of those things for myself, you know?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
We gotta get you all kitted out by the Davids. You need like a house sign, and you need the other David to give you a long list of names. That's like
That'd be great. I'm gonna message him like, David, come on, you gotta help me out
you
here with that.
gotta get new better, do better his drip on.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
saying I come up, I do what I do. I do what I do sometimes, you know. Man, that is awesome, man. If you could like step into the world of Tolkien and it'd be a reality, right? What place do you think would fit your aesthetic as far as somewhere where you would like to dwell? Like, would it be Rivendell? Would it be, Minas Tirith? Would that be something with the armor and the influence
Mhm.
of the people, the Celtic culture and things like that, and those type of influences there, as opposed to maybe somewhere, like the Druidine Forest or something like that, where, it'd be a little different, a little more,
Uh,
Indigenous?
yeah, yeah, you're 100% right, indigenous with that, because that's what Tolkien based off the Druidine off of, I believe anyway. I love the Druidine. They don't get enough love. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite aspects of Lord of the Rings, and they don't get any love. But no, anyway, to your question, I have thought about this before. To be honest, I think it's hard because I'm stuck between, Numenor, and I'm stuck
Mm.
between Numenor, like a Numinas or anything like that, or Rivendell. I really probably would say Rivendell, because you get both the aspect of the culture there, you get the culture, you get the academia of it.
Hmm.
I would really just like to study the history, and that's what, like, again, David and I's project, we take it from a historical perspective. So I think honestly there, or maybe Hill of Tuna, because
Ooh.
they have the summer games there, right? Or not summer games, but there's the description where Galadriel is talked about, and they have these kind of Olympic
Olympic
games,
type
these
games, yeah.
Olympiads, and I play an
And
Irish sport.
she was a match for them.
Yes, exactly,
Any of the
exactly.
males there.
Yes, exactly. So I've always, my family's always been involved with sports, and stuff like that. I played soccer, and now I play a Irish sport called hurling. And I'd like to imagine that there was a kind of hurling, amongst the elves, because every ancient culture has had a stick and ball sport.
Yes.
So I could see myself there as well.
Ah, tuna. Yeah, yeah. Tuna is literally the streets are like diamond dust.
Yeah.
Like it is beautifully described. It is right in the gap of the Pelori. So the opening of the Pelori, it is the Calicaria. It's amazing. Absolutely love tuna. Gondolin is modeled after tuna. So if you do not know what tuna, well, not tuna is Tyrion on upon tuna. Tuna is the name of the hill, but you know what I
Oh
mean.
yeah, 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 yeah. I couldn't
Tyrion is
remember
the city.
Tyrion.
Tyrion is the name of the city upon tuna.
Thank you,
It's a
thank you.
hill, and so if you want to, like, if you have a semblance, like, what does Tyrion look like? Gondolin is modeled after Tyrion because, Turgon missed Tyrion so much, he modeled Gondolin after it. So they would look very similar and white, fair, beautiful, just marvelous, covered in diamond dust, and just chef's kiss. Gondolin is my favorite city, so I absolutely love Tyrion as well, and the hill that it sits upon. Which is funny because they talk about Tuna a lot, even
Yeah.
though Tyrion is the city. Like Tuna must be a really special hill because they mention it so often.
Yeah, and I imagine that they would have the games surrounding it as well, like how they have the Meneltarma for the Númenóreans, like,
Yeah,
this whole kind of thing where, hill forts and hills were a major part of kind of ancient British and Irish culture too, like having these things. Like there was this thing called, the Irish have a claim to their own Olympiad called the Tailteann Games. So I'm sure Tolkien came up with that somehow, like try to connect those kind of ancient games in a way. So yeah.
yeah. The Minden, El Eliyaba. It's hard to pronounce, but the tower,
Yeah.
that tower. I love how Fenway gets to take over the tower,
Yeah.
and after the Vanguard vacate and they go and they live in they go live amongst the Valar, sniffing them. So that is awesome, man. I wasn't aware that you guys, were a sporting family. I'll say this, I'll watch you in ping pong, my friend. I'm nice at ping
All
pong,
right,
so
all right. That's a challenge. I'll take
not to
that
toot my own
challenge up.
horn, but
I'll take that challenge up. Yeah. No, but yeah, we've been playing. I've been playing last 13 years in Gaelic Park in the Bronx.
nice.
So it's a great sport. I highly recommend it to anybody that wants to try and explore their Irish culture a little bit more.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. Kelly, did you have any questions that you wanted to specifically get out?
If you were to contribute to the music of the Ainur, what would your contribution be?
Mine would be, and I thought about this a lot because this is such a precious thing, to introduce something into a universe. And mine would be the joy and sorry, mine would be wonder, and that joyfulness, that the joy that you feel from discovering something new.
Hmm.
Whether it be, you're excited about, it's Christmas Eve when you're a kid and you have that feeling in your chest. And it's like, what's Santa gonna bring? Or you find something that no one has ever seen before within a Tolkien text. Or you're finding out these different connections to Tolkien and his legendarium and how he was inspired. You're finding this little piece that's just yours, and that excitement and wonder at discovery. And yeah, I think having those moments of wonder, everybody has them, and it's a universal thing. So
And
I
and
would say wonder.
That's
and you're
awesome.
about to rediscover all those moments as you raise your own little one, of course. That's what it's all
Yes.
about, right? So
The
that's an
wonderment in that.
Hey, that's
amazing.
exactly why I was thinking that too. That's spot
Oh.
on, Callie. That's spot on.
Now, who's your favorite character in the Legendarium?
Oof, it changes a lot.
Yeah.
Um, when I was a kid, I used to love Legolas because he was just cool and I had blonde hair when I was a kid. But
You ever cosplay
from the
him?
movie and stuff. Yeah, there are pictures of me. I still
Yeah.
have my Legolas costume,
Yeah.
the official one, and a Ringwraith costume, that I got mercilessly harassed for. I was just ahead of the curve. All those kids didn't like fantasy. Now they all like it because Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff. But no. So, favorite character. So that was, one of the first. And then I love Finrod.
Mm.
Finrod is, I mean,
Mm.
just his purity in a lot of
Yes.
ways.
So
His
pure. Such a
his
good guy.
Oh yeah, I mean he's the ultimate guy. There's a couple things where he falls short. But I would say him. Eärendil is one of my all-time favorites just recently because of the research I've been doing a lot.
Hmm.
And how Tolkien was, how he was influenced to create Eärendil. Um, and then Faramir. Faramir is my favorite really because of who he is as a person.
Hmm.
His fidelity to duty,
Yeah.
to the goodness of the world, to fighting for the goodness in the world. Yeah, those are my favorite characters for sure.
Yeah. I think it's one of his strengths to where the path he takes to listening and learning as opposed
Mm.
to uh going and it's I ain't gonna say it's the easy route to just listen to your father, but it's you everybody wants to please your father and he was no exception. He
Yeah,
was no exception at all, but he chose to the tutelage of Gandalf and the wisdom from that. And
yeah.
that's what put him on a proper path of knowledge and knowing. And you see the difference between him and Boromir. And Boromir is my favorite of the two, not because uh, you know, I don't like Faramir's, pureness
Yeah.
of him not wanting the ring. That's not it at all. I love Boromir because he wanted the ring, because he wanted to help the people. He
His
wanted it. His
vulnerability.
vulnerability makes him so much more human,
Yeah,
and it makes it more truer to the sense of somebody you would run into than somebody just, being so good. And this is no knock against Faramir. I'm glad he's a character and it shows the juxtaposition of their upbringing and who they chose to follow. But Boromir was no less good. He just
yeah,
was uninformed, influenced more. And
yeah,
it's the same with the servants of Sauron. And in many cases, I was talking about this on a post recently that the Easterlings aren't actually just bad. They're not just bad. They're influenced
yeah.
by Sauron. They think that Gondor is bad, the bad guys, and how that thought process can lead you to do terrible things or lead you down the wrong path. And Boromir's path was never bad. It's just the way he just didn't understand what the ring was and what it could do, and that want for power and that want to please his father,
Hmm.
all just sent him down the wrong path. But he absolutely wanted the best for his people. He
Yeah.
he wanted that more than anything. He loved his people. He loved the Rohirrim. His defense of the Rohirrim, I talk about it all the time, is so inspiring. He would what? No, not them. You talking about not the Rohirrim. That is just a quality that is so pure and so
Hmm.
beautiful
Yeah.
because I know people that they'll let somebody talk about you to their face and they'll be your friend. Real
Hmm.
friends don't do that. He didn't let anybody talk about no, you're not talking about he's by himself amongst strangers and nope, not them. You got to be kidding me. No, those my guys.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. And that shows his true quality. So that's one of the reasons I love Boromir.
Boromir shows his own
He's a real
qualities in any
dude.
way.
He
Yeah.
fell, but he's a real dude. He's real. He, despite his flaws, and he wanted to help. And I love that about him. So, absolutely.
He is one of the greatest. I mean, people, that's another, like the Druidine, people underestimate him just by watching the films.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is awesome. I appreciate that. Out of the artifacts in Arda, what's your favorite artifact?
Oh, you guys are killing me. These are hard
I'm
questions.
coming. I'm coming
Oh,
through.
so my
We're
favorite
Newbetta
gonna.
really wants to get
artifact.
to know you.
Oh, I know. No, I appreciate that. That's great. No, I would say, oof, I have to pick one. Oh man.
Just say, it doesn't have to be the most powerful or
Okay.
whatever. Something
Oh
that
no, no, no. I'm not
something that
worried about that
resonates
at
with you.
all. It's either so I just love Finrod's ring. I love the ring of Barry here. Um, I'm trying to get one of those, but none of the like kind of things I find online is like accurate enough for me. But I would say the Dragon Helm of Dorlomin.
Ooh, dope.
Turin is I find a lot of sympathy and empathy for Turin as a character. I see a lot of myself in him. Um, in the more positive qualities, obviously, but at least I hope I have the more positive qualities. But yeah, I really, his empathy for Lebedal
Mhm.
and his empathy for others really shines through, I
Yeah.
think, as a character. And that's what I like really, like him as a character, talking about human characters with vulnerabilities and mistakes and things like that. But I mean, besides that, it's a great helm. I mean,
It's
it's one of the sickest helms. Like
it's
between that and Tuor, it's like so hard to pick. But yeah.
don't forget, don't sleep on my boy Thelion. He put some
Oh,
work in with his
listen,
helm.
I'm not either, but I'm not a big diamond guy, so.
My boy right there, Thelion got the diamond pointed
Mhm.
helm on the yeah. But yeah, the Dragon Helm of Dorloman is definitely my favorite helm. Um, I think its attributes are
Oh yeah.
awesome as well. The passing of it as well, and I find it really interesting that heavy is the head, right?
Yeah.
And the weight of it, not everybody could
Yeah.
wear it. Even you know, Hurin didn't like wearing it. You know what I'm saying? And I love that it's just like a character like Turin that is so cursed and everything is heavy on him. He wears the dragon helm.
Oh
He's
yeah.
the one who really wears it and showcases it. And at a time, he's just called the helm.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's sick. It's so sick.
it's his character is so sick in general. The thing I wish though, with the Helm of Dorlumin, is how I wish more people would represent it with the actual mask.
Yes, it has a mask visor that comes down.
Instead of just a barbute. I just wish it was a little bit better with that.
I think they're trying to
Um,
like, say, "Hey, look at my face. Look at his
yeah,
face."
I know. It's the age-old media thing. We have to see their face. I mean, I love Alan. Is it Alan Lee's? Yeah, Alan Lee's cover. Oh my God, that's beautiful of the Children of Húrin.
Yeah.
That's what really drove me because I read Lord of the Rings and I was like, okay, I want to get more in depth with the Legendarium as a whole. But where do I start? I don't want to start with the Silmarillion. Maybe I start with a little closer look at, one of these kind of stories, the Great Tales. So I was like, I think I'm gonna pick the Children of Húrin first. And that's
What
what
a pick.
I tell people all
It's
the
a
time.
very enlightening place to
Yeah.
start.
I tell people all the time if you want to get more into the Silmarillion, but without reading the Silmarillion, because everybody talks about, oh, it's the fantasy Bible, things like people up it a lot and make it intimidating. I say, if you're intimidated, go into the Children of Húrin because all of that is still there. And you
Yeah.
still get the
Mm,
darker elements. I honestly think
mm.
that could be a great TV show if they wanted to go into
Oh, it would
TV.
be so,
I mean, that
man.
would be people would love it and be like, "Oh, this is Tolkien. This is
Yeah.
super dark. I'm
Yeah. Super
surprised."
It'd
dark.
be dark.
Very, very similar to Game of Thrones in a
Yeah.
sense, you know what I mean? And so much happens in the Children of Hurin. If you guys don't know, if you're listening out there, the Children of Hurin is the longest of the tales within the Silmarillion. Is the longest of the tales of those great tales that are told there. That and then Baron and Luthien coming in second. But so much happens and so much history. And if you want to learn about so many different things that you're not even thinking about, like you learn about so much from as what the Easterlings were doing before the end of the War of Wrath, where they went back east, and what they ended up with for betraying the elves, and what that looked like, when the men aren't there to protect Dorloman, and so on and so forth, and those consequences right there, right? We have both Tor dealing with those and Turin dealing with those things, and then outside influences that are now leading the charge. Glaurung is taking a charge in the sense of he's a dragon, but he's the general of the force that comes to deal with the Turin, the men of Brethel there, and he's dealing with the men of Brethel. He's dealing with Nargothrond, and that whole situation there. What a weaker king that shouldn't necessarily be there looks like,
Hmm.
and what happens, when he's easily influenced, and love lost, but not giving up. And that story is so dark, and epic to get into. So that might be a good entry point for somebody who wants something just fuller, instead of a whole history of everything.
Oh
So yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
So yeah, man, I've been so excited to talk to you, and we can go on forever. And we'll definitely jump back in. We'll get you in for a longer episode. But David, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and listening to your academia, and your
Mm.
knowledge, and you're so well spoken, man.
Oh,
It's just
thank
it's
you.
an honor that you care so much about the histories of Tolkien, his work, and the things that inspired him. And I'm glad they're inspiring you and David Donaldo to do the great things that you guys are doing. Thank you for giving us your time. We really appreciate you.
Thank you guys, please. I mean, honestly, this is one of the best podcasts I've been on. It was so much fun just talking about the stuff that we love. So, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
answering all of those questions.
Anytime.
All right. Guys, we are going to get out of here for this episode of Voices of Arda. Make sure you follow us on all the literally podcast things. I think we're on all of them: Google, YouTube, all of that, all of the things, you know what I'm saying? Spotify, all of that stuff. So make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow Dave, aka Cinemallennial, and
Yes.
check out Dave Donaldo as well. He is another scholar, and he is another master, a gentleman. Awesome. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much again, Dave, and we will see you next time.
Namarie.